What's going on, Paisanos? V here, come at you guys, well, with another market watch today. This is a very special market watch that I personally love doing. It's my Banlist market watch. Common question of the day, right into it. If you could have any card, I'm talking about any card, go on the ban list right now, instantly, E-banned. E-banned's important. It rarely happens. What card would it be and why? As I go over the ban list prediction video, I'm going to talk about what I think should be E-banned today. And I think we can all agree on it. But once again, we'll talk about it in there. Guys, if you're new to the channel, please make sure to hit the like button, comment down below, hit the subscribe button, share this video, notification bell. It's a lot of work you gotta do watching this video. It ain't just sit back and chill out. You gotta do some work. Listen, also, if you wanna support the channel, links will be down below for like TCG Player. Click in the description. Go on there, and whenever you buy cards, help support the channel, and I could buy cards. I just recently bought a Starlight Rare Triple Tactics Talents. That card's like $400. I need to get 3 of them. Click on the link below. Help your boy V get that Triple Tactics Talents. I'm getting it anyway. Also, Tri-Brigade Farragut? I mean, right before I begin with the Banlist market watch. Why is Tri-Brigade Farragut, the Baron Blossom, Starlight Rare, with $185 market price, actually down to $165? Listen, I think Tri-Brigade is a really good deck type, deck core, deck archetype, whatever anyone wants to say it, that was printed in the wrong format. I do think this card and this deck core can see more play in the future, but right now, they're decent at best. I do think that this is a dirt cheap price to get this card in, and if you're not buying, if you're looking to get Tri-Brigade and you're still holding off on this card, you might want to get there faster. All right, so let's talk about the bans real quickly, because I really feel like the banlist videos I do is probably the craziest types of videos I do, in which the competition goes crazy. I mean, everyone's just going nuts. And the videos I really like doing because I like to theorize. My favorite thing about this game is not only just talking about the market, but more specifically, theorizing as far as speculation of hype within the market. That's what I love doing, because we don't know if you're right or wrong, and there's no right or wrong answer, and I enjoy that. So right now, I'm going to talk about the cards that are going to be going on the ban list. What do I think? And as time progresses, we're going to change this ban list. We'll have different cards coming on, coming off, and we'll have reasons why. But this is what I think would be a relatively balanced ban list. Also, another little fun fact, whenever you want, if you want to do your own ban prediction, don't think of yourself as like, I'm a Dino player, so I'm going to hit everything except Dinos, tee-hee. No. Think of yourself as Konami, as a company that needs to, one, balance the format so players can be happy. You want your customers happy and players happy, whatever you want to call them. Number 2, you're going to want to pave the way for the new meta in which you want to introduce. Remember, it's a narrative that you need to sell to the public. But you can only sell that narrative, okay? And once again, looking at Tri-Brigade, you can only sell that narrative, Tri-Brigade being one of them, as well as other narratives, to the public if you can properly balance your meta. The reason why nobody's caring about Tri-Brigade, even though it had a lot of hype, is because the meta is unbalanced, so they can't be played as easily. That is the case with this. Now, once again, looking at what is to be banned, you gotta really ban cards that are just really not good for the game, or can stunt your future growth or future sales, if you're Konami. That's something that's wrong throughout everybody, because I usually get people that go, V, I think you should all this stuff, and I go, okay, now we're playing a game of Guess Who? You're a Dragoning player. Oh, you got me, V. All right, V, shit, all these other cards. All right, going by what you said, I should hit. You are Inferno player. Got me again, V. Like, it's just look at it unbiasedly as possible, and I think it's gonna help you guys to make better future determinations as far as what should or should not go be on the ban list. One card I think we can all agree on is Crystal Needle Fiber. Why is this not banned? I should do a series in this quad. Why is this not banned? Needle Fiber. Really, Konami? You're gonna let this bad boy pass another ban list? Don't worry about it. We'll hit the stuff that it could bring out, right? That's a good idea. That worked so well for other cards. Ask anybody that's been around since Instant Fusion was starting to get broken in the meta around Zodiac. Hit everything except Instant Fusion. That'll probably solve the problem. No, Crystal Needle Fiber, or Hacker needs to be banned. This card not only needs to be banned, but the fact that the market is realizing how bad this card needs to be banned. This card is roughly around $30. Look at the market price, the card's roughly around $20, and look at the current price point, it's barely holding on to its $18 price point. Why is that? Well, Needle Fiber is a phenomenally broken card in the meta, which we already have, which is already broken as is. You don't want to add more crazy things, so I think we can all agree that this card needs to be banned. Number 2, Union Carrier. I go on, I don't know, rants about this card at least once a month. If you guys are new to the channel, by the way, hi, how's it going? Hit the subscribe button. Number 1. Number 2, This card should have been banned on release day. Let me explain. On release day, this card was broken. More broken than needle fiber. Really? You don't think it is? Okay. On release day, this card came out and made Lulalites tier 0. Immediately. Union Carrier plus Samorg made an Infinite Negate in Zodiac that was so consistent. I mean, so consistent, anyone can do it. If you mess up the combo, you still did it. That's how broken the card made that combo. This card did that for that deck, right? Okay. Fast forward. This card was part of FTK. In fact, it was the central part of an FTK. If you play Dragon Links, you put it on the Pisu, on one of the monsters, you blow up your opponent's board in, you do a bunch of damage to your opponent, they lose before they can even play Yu-Gi-Oh! That's what this card did. Oh, you think that's not that broken? No big deal. This card also, and by the way, Konami, thank you for making Ultra Rare Dragon Buster, acknowledging your issue. Ultra Rare, this card makes it so Dragon Links can extra deck lock you, which to some players, you're like, whatever, dude, I'll blow through that kid anyway. But to other players, you're like, extra deck lock? I lose. This card's broken. It made 3 different variances of decks insane based on how this card is by itself. Yeah, this card is public enemy number 1 on the ban list. And I know you might go, V, there's other cards, there's X and Y. Sure, this card made 3 decks tier 1. Once again, I think Lunalight arguably tier 0.5. It's that unfair. This card needs to go. You need to get rid of this card. Please, Konami, do not hit Dragon Buster. That does nothing for the deck. As far as Union Carrier, this card will just find something else to break, and it's going to. Stop playing around. Hit this card and let's move on. I'm not even joking. Like, this card is absolutely insane. A lot of players are saying Guard Dragon Pissy, so I'm putting it on the ban list, and I can see why. It's obviously a really good card, and I think if you're looking at the ban list from a perspective of let's hit all the top tier stuff, I think Pissy is definitely one of the first things that come to mind as far as what to hit in the ban list. Stay tuned to later on this video when I think there's a better version of this. But once again, with Guard Dragon Pissy, excuse me. With Guard Dragon Pissy, I can see. I mean, if they don't hit the card, I think they should. I mean, if they don't unlock the card, I think they should unlock. Pissy coming on the ban list would make perfect sense. I mean, there's already enough Guard Dragons on there, right? AgriPain. Why not just throw Pissy on there, I guess? Smoke Grenade of the Thief. So once again, like I said, this is another card that is really unfair. Infernobles play this weird kind of game with the players, and I think players are starting to realize it, where it's a game of resources. If I can minimize the amount of resources you have as an Infernoble player, I'm gonna keep you, and you can't do much, and turn goes back to me. If I can't kill you, I'm gonna keep minimizing the resources you have. I'm gonna keep cutting out the options that are available to you as a player by playing a deck like Infernobles. I'm not necessarily gonna kill you immediately. I want to. I definitely want to, but I'm gonna slow down the resources in which you need to try to even attempt to make a comeback. And Smoke Grenade of the Thief is literally the definition of, hey, let me see your ammo quickly. This card. I mean, you can say, well, V, I mean, there's a lot of cards. There's Neospatial Aqua Dolphin, and that card's really good. I get that. That card's amazing. Absolutely. Smoke Grenade just says, hey, if I'm pop while I quit to the monster, I'm just taking a card out the hand. It's amazing. I mean, think about it. Konami had a whole rule change to stop, I forgot the name of the chat card. Comment down below if you name a chat card. You activate it, name a card, look at your opponent's hand, take a card out. Like, they changed a whole rule specifically, and noting every time they change the rule, so they go, you can't see your opponent's hand, and then you have Smoke Grenade Time Thief, which allows you to see your opponent's hand. Not only you see your opponent's hand, but you go, yeah, take that card, get that bad boy out of here. That's insane. This card, I 100% agree on that, needs to be on the ban list. Once again, I think there'll be some changes. We'll talk about later on in this video. Miscellaneousaurus. Oh, to every Dino player, when this card goes on the ban list, I think on there, Konami should have an asterisk. It was a good run, wasn't it, boys? Like, that's what Konami should have at the end of this card. Because why? I'm not even joking. Why is this card printed? This card says, activate, your opponent can't do nothing. And then Dino players will smugly go, oh, I'm gonna activate this effect, response, and you look at them and go, you know I don't got no goddamn response. Just hurry up and murder me real quickly. I think Miscellaneousaurus is a phenomenal card, don't get me wrong. And I think in any other deck, it's also broken. Not just dinosaurs. So I don't think it's just specifically dinosaurs. Now, can this card go to 1? Sure, I think it actually can, to be honest with you. I mean, yeah, is there a way for them to search and activate it? Sure, but that, once again, it leaves them open. And I think that's kind of what I would like to see dinosaur decks at. Dino DNA, what do you want to call it? I want it to be at a point where it's not dead, because I don't want this deck dead. I think this deck is really cool, but I want to see a point where it's not gonna be easy. It's not gonna be like, oh, hopefully I draw into my 3 Miscellaneousaurus. Oh, look at that, I'm so good at the game. It's good looking. Boom. No, I don't like that. I think it's terrible. But I think Miscellaneousaurus is the one's more fair. But I will put it here as a banlist card because I personally hate dinosaurs. But in order to make a more fair and balanced ban, we should really put out 1. I'll put out 1 later on. Alright, True King of All Calamities. Yeah. This card. If I could choose any card to be banned right now, I said early in the video, True King of All Calamities is the card. This card says, detach, I don't know, you pick the attribute, because you ain't doing nothing, baby. Like, this is what this card says. You need a very limited amount of cards to stop this card, and if you don't somehow magically top deck those cards, well, you can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! That's what this card does. I think True King of All Calamity, when it first came out, I don't even think Konami was like, yeah, it's no big deal. This card's, we have 2 level 9 monsters, nobody has that. And they slowly started making monsters, and they were like, what should we make, level 9 monsters? I think that's a good idea, let's just throw them out there. And then you have True King of All Calamities. What annoys me about this card is, I didn't realize how broken this card was until someone said, hold on a second. Let me go back to the bands real quickly, because I actually found the name of the card. And I might have it here in which card. Someone checked Shockmaster and how Shockmaster can come back. And I go, you're insane. And then he went back to me and went, True King of All Calamities. And I go, you have a fair point. Like, why is Shockmaster banned, but True King of All Calamities is just out there at 3? And Virtual War decks are playing the card at 2. And you know why? Because they can. Because why not? Clock House still exists. I'll bring True King back and I'll do it again. What are you gonna do about it? Yeah, you better cry. Like, this card's insane. I don't think this card should go to 1. I don't think this card should go to 2. I think this card should go to 0 today, immediately. This card's super unbalanced. Alright, up next, Zexal. See True King of All Calamities, but that's for Numeron players. Like, yeah, yeah. Mystic Mine. I hate this card. Even Mystic Mine players could admit that this card is outright terrible. And if you are a pure Mystic Mine player, please comment down below and let me know, how was your experience playing the most hated deck in the game? Like, I'd rather play against dinos, a smug, cocky dino player, talking about response after everything, than a Mystic Mine player. This card's so good, dino players run one of it. I hate this card. I hate this card so much. This card is terrible. This card is very unbalanced and not fair. And I don't think I'm alone in this. I think a lot of Paisanos realize the fact that a card that says you can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not a good card in this game. And I think that by this card even existing is a problem for this game and for a lot of players. So I really do think that in order, once again, if you're Konami and you want to sell more product, it's hard to sell a product when you have a field spell, a generic field spell, by the way, that you just slap down on board and go, yeah, that guy can't play. Like, it's really hard to sell product. So I think if you want to sell product properly, you're going to have to get rid of Mystic Mine. Magical Midfield Breaker. So I think we're going to be entering in a nice mid-range format. No more heavy turn 1. Blech, can you stop this? No. Okay, skip them up, boys. No more of that. Not necessarily a pure control meta in which your opponent sets 5 passes and like giggles. No. I think a mid-range meta that does a little bit of everything, but not ideally specifically everything. And I think Magical Midfield Breaker, or Magical Mid-Breaker Field, I always say, anyway, is a really bad card in that meta. Think about it. If you're in a mid-range meta, a card that says mid in its name is probably not a good card. A card that says you can't target nothing, pretty broken. And even though this card is at 1, I think in order to promote the game properly, you have to get rid of this card. In order to promote the game and sell cards properly, this card cannot exist. Now, yeah, for a while, Konami's been pulling back on cards that specifically target. In fact, there's a lot of cards that have non-targeting destruction. But I think that non-targeting destruction is really not that healthy. Imagine having a deck just full of non-targeting destruction cards. They just pop everything and just activate. Target? Oh, this is yet another card in my deck that doesn't target. Like, a lot of decks, for the most part, don't have a lot of non-targeting destruction overall. Okay? Some do. Some have a decent amount, but not like, to the point where, like, every card? No. So I think targeting is definitely the nature of the game as far as cards and effects. This card cannot exist, period. This card will never come back. This card is just as broken as Mystic Mine, but the only reason we're talking about Mystic Mine over Magical Mid-Breaker Field is because this card's already currently at 1. This card needs to go. This card needs to go as well. Alright, let's talk about Limited. I just randomly took a page off. Anyway, cards in Limited are going to be going to 1. Right off the gate, I think Lunite Tiger. Once again, if you hit the real problem, why is Tiger being punished for it? Are Lunite's going to be that good? Union Carrier was gone. Well, to be honest with you, I don't think so, but it'll at least make this deck a tier 1.5 deck minimal. And I think to anyone out there, it's like, V, you know, pendulums, blah, 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 whether you hate or love pendulums. The thing about pendulums that everyone kind of forgets about is, and we always refer to them as a deck archetype, but they're not a deck archetype. They are a full-fledged game mechanic. And if you think Konami's gonna just continue just trucking on through, releasing cards for Xyz and Fusions and Synchros, and not doing anything from pendulums, you are very, 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 very mistaken. Pendulums is a mechanic. The type of pendulum deck is actually the archetype. In this case, the lights. We also have the magician pendulums. There's all other variants of pendulums. And I do think Lunatites, with Union Carrier gone, can get Tiger and still play at a relatively decent style of gameplay. Is it going to be broken? I don't think so, to be honest with you. I think maybe even in a mid-range sense, Lunatites are not that broken. But it would be cool to give them a try at least, because they necessarily never really had a try, because Union Carrier was released and made this deck absolutely broken right off the gate. With dragons being hit, we can make an argument to bring back Ib, the World Chalice card. Now you might go, wait a minute, V, that means dragons can play this broken card? Yeah, absolutely. Even more so in Master Duel 5. Think about it. Without Pisty, why would it matter? Why would it matter whatsoever? Without Pisty, without Needle Fiber, without Union Carrier, dragons is a decent deck, but Ib just helps extend, and it makes the deck more slower. But it makes the deck more slower and more mid-rangey, which, once again, is ideally what you want if you want to promote that kind of meta. So I think this card would be great to come back. By the way, only printing Secret Rare, yeah, it's roughly around $4, $5 first edition as well. Definitely go ahead and grab this if you don't have it already. I only own one copy of this card, but, like, I really do think that this is something that every player should own. At least one copy of. Dark Rule No More. Of course. Konami reprints this card as Structure Deck. Spirit Charmers as Structure Deck Spirit Charmers card. The card common is roughly around $3. $3 for Dark Rule No More, says Konami to you. Now, can Konami hit this card right off the gate? I don't know. And here's why. Whenever time Konami hits a card, well, specifically Dark Rule No More, the number one card I think about, if this was to happen, I would say, oh, okay, it's Core Battle Grave all over again. Think about it. Dark Rule No More is not easy to get. Core Battle Grave is easy to get. Why not hit these in preparation to make way for newer cards? Now, in the case of Dark Rule No More, because for Core Battle Grave, it's Cross-Eyed Destiny, which hasn't been released yet. They did this really early. They can wait to this Banlist to hit Core Battle Grave, to be honest with you. But they decided to do it really early for Cross-Eyed Destiny coming out in February. Looking at Dark Rule No More, though, it's very different. They could do the opposite, in which we already have Forbidden. We already have Forbidden Droplet, and Forbidden Droplet for the most part is Dark Rule No More. Almost yes and no. It's like, it's Forbidden Droplet, Dark Rule No More, yes, but not really. And I think in order for Konami to continue to sell products, especially specifically reprints of Forbidden Droplet, which I think in a mid-range format would be an amazing of a card. I think Forbidden Droplet in mid-range format is like the god card nobody knows about, to be honest with you. I think you would have to get rid of Dark Rule No More, because even though Dark Rule No More might by its own way phase out, Forbidden Droplet, especially because hit Dark Rule No More, would definitely phase in more and heavier. So I think that seeing this card go to 1 would make a lot of sense. Once again, I personally wouldn't like to see that happen. But if you're Konami and you want to promote a product, especially Forbidden Droplet with Forbidden Droplet reprints, that's going to be the big money. No matter what it is, you're going to have to do it. I mean, look at Dark Rule No More. Even if you didn't like Spirit Charmer Structure Deck, this card's still really good. It's a $3 common. It's not even like a super rare in there. Shockmaster. Should this card come back is a question I'm going to ask everybody. I don't know. I have zero idea this card should come back. But we cannot look at Calamities and go, yeah, that's a card. We can't look at Utopia X0 and go, yeah, that's fine. And Shockmaster, the card in which you have to fairly play, this card is too good? I don't know. I don't want this card to come back. I'll be real with you. But if this card did come back, I wouldn't argue about it that much because it's not as broken. Your opponent would, and once again, if the cards come back, it'll come back as 1. Your opponent can make multiple copies. If your opponent activates this card, there are several ways to stop the activation of this card. And, yeah, I don't think it's that. I mean, it's a once per turn that your opponent has to activate on their turn. Unlike True King Old Calamities is like, I'll do it whenever I feel like it. Stand by phase. No, wait till your main phase. Yeah, you know, dedicate to the board before I smack you. Same with Utopia Xexus. Xexus is even worse. Xexus is like, you activated cards, so I won't get in perm, homeboy. Alright, now I'm gonna do it. And it's broken. Shockmaster is like a really, really fair version of these cards. And the crazy thing about Shockmaster is, you asked me this question about a year ago, 2 years ago, I would have thought you were crazy if you were even to kind of say Shockmaster should come off the ban list. But Shockmaster coming off the ban list wouldn't do much. as far as like make everything like super unbalanced. You can play still need hand traps, so once again, it's a setup for a more mid-range controlling format, and this card is not that good in that format. The card currently holding a $16 market price, and let you play versions of the ultra rare. Well, that starts around $16. Someone I thought it was 10. 16 bucks for ultra rare Shockmaster. There are other versions of the card, by the way. Yes, it came out like super rare in 2012 collector's tin. It's about $1. I just think it's a great card everyone should hold right now. And if you have a problem with Shockmaster, just tell me which version of Utopic Zexal or which version of True King of All Calamities .deck Virtual World you're playing, and is it consistent? Because this isn't. So Astrograph Sorcerer should come to 1. Some people have a problem with this, but not Needle Fiber. I'm really not really up to date on my pendulums. Heavy Venom of Pulse Electronite. That card's banned, and I don't think that card's coming off the ban list. I would like to see that card come off the ban list. It'd be really cool, but it'd be really scary at the same time because that card is broken in pendulums. Whereas Astrograph Sorcerer, even at 1, wouldn't really do much. The card only has 1 printing in Pendulum Evolution, and it's roughly around $1. $1 for Astrograph Sorcerer is a really good deal. Also, once again, the fact that this card is an ultra rare, add a Pendulum Evolutions, and that's it. It's a pretty good card to consider to pick up. Let me throw a curveball your way and say I think Brilliant Fusion should come off the ban list. And if you go V, why not? Well, this card is at 1, that'd be fair. And yeah, maybe it'll extend certain decks, sure, if they're on 1 Brilliant Fusion. The card currently holding a $31 market price. For the OTs is roughly around, you can see over here, for $27. After that goes up to $30. I think it's a good card. I think coming out to 1 wouldn't do as much. One thing I will say, actually, I didn't put up here, that I'm adding right now. So I did add it now that you guys see it. Is Verde Anaconda. The question is specifically to anybody who's debating on it: is Predapen Verde Anaconda the card that should be banned? Should this be banned? Should Red Fusion be banned? Or should we just go right to the source and ban Dragoon? I think we should be banning Predapen Verde Anaconda. And the reason I'm going to say that, another dual overload card, by the way. And the reason I'm going to say that is because this card will make anything fusion specific that much better. And that can be an issue if you're Konami and you're trying to release support for fusions, and you go, what about the fusion art type? Oh, but we can't make a fusion card about it because this card helps cheat it out. And that's kind of broken and unfair. So I think that even though Predator Anaconda is a phenomenal card, and I really do like this card, I think that would be a good call to say, hey V, why don't we just ban Anaconda so we can promote more better fusion support? I'm with that 100%. But going by that, I think Brilliant Fusion should come to 1. I think if it's a 1-up, it's not as easy to get. I think as a 1-up, it's not that broken. I think as a 1-up, it's a great card. Also, it's a beautiful looking Ultima Rare. I mean, absolutely insanely good looking Ultima Rare. And the value right now is currently tanked. I mean, it is as low as low. To be honest with you, Paisanos, nobody's even looking at this card right now. But everyone should be looking at this card because this card is absolutely amazing. 1 Infinite Track Fortress Mega Cyclops. And the reason I'm saying that is because if we was to hit S0, everyone would probably just slowly cycle over to playing Infinite Track Fortress Mega Cyclops. They would probably play multiple copies of this card. Why wouldn't they not? The card's amazing still, unaffected by other monster effects. That's pretty good. And listen, I don't think this card would break the meta, but this card definitely is a phenomenal card nevertheless. So I think hitting this card would be the right call. At least putting it to 1. I think if it's to 1, you want to have these goofy decks that revolve around bringing out this 1 card. That's simple. It's a really good card. And then we have Magical Meltdown. Of course I'm going to talk about this card. This card has to go to 1. This card, and once again, if we're talking about like Predator Plant, Verde Anaconda being like just broken, this card is like turbo worse than that. Like Magical Meltdown makes any fusion deck, once again, if you're Konami, you want to make a fusion deck, you can run it with Magical Meltdown, specifically with a small core of Invoked, and make that fusion deck that much more better. My good friend Pac at Pac TCG broke Shadows. I mean, he absolutely broke that deck running a Magical Meltdown engine. Why are we not just seeing that and go, wow, imagine if you're Konami and you want to make a good fusion art type. Shadows is an old art type, well, relatively old, and got broken with Magical Meltdown and the rest of the deck core, of course. But if you want to make a good fusion art type, you really can't with this card existing, because this card makes a lot of cards in that fusion deck spell speed 4. 1 card does that. That's a field spell. That would, when terraforming, makes it easily searchable. I think this card going to 1 is very fair. Then we have Elder Entity Entis. I like to look at a lot of the maximum gold cards because I've always felt like anything like the big reprint wise before bans will more than likely be on the ban list. Konami has historically done that, and players have not really put those two and two together because they haven't done it to a bunch of cards, but they do it. Whether it's the Maximum Gold or a Megaton, normally you see some of those cards on the ban list. Like, they'll release it, and the next one here's the ban list, and everyone kind of forgot about the fact that we just got reprints because we're so excited about the ban list. Anyway, looking at Elder Entity Entis, I think this card is really good, and as a one-of, would definitely calm the card down. Think about it. In a mid-range format, one of the best archetypes running around is going to be Dogmatica. It's just going to be one of the best. In mid-range format, it's broken. Absolutely broken. And Elder Entity Entis at 1 would be a lot more balanced than having this card at 2. It's just that simple. It's a matter of simple economics as far as this card. Now, can they play other cards to help them gain advantage? Of course they can. But this card taking away your opponent's board, really unbalanced. So I think this card going to 1 would be, once again, help balance the meta. Of course, this is a ban list prediction video. We're going to be talking about cards on the ban list. I had my 3. Now we're up to 2. One was probably Featherluster, and the 2 is Maxx C and Van's Emptiness. Van's Emptiness should go to 1. I'm just calling it right now for what it is. Once again, I'm not saying in the current meta, because it won't do anything in the current meta. If you think Van's Emptiness is going to do a lot of things, well, it'll just make an unbalanced meta more unbalanced, and that's at the worst. I think a lot of players might not even play this card. If they would play this card, it would maybe see playing a side deck like Harpy's Featherluster in this meta. But going into a more of a mid-range meta, where special summonings isn't as important as what else you have besides that, I think Van's Emptiness is going to help a lot of players strategically make their plays properly. And what I mean by that is, if you're playing against any kind of mid-range deck, let's say like a Dogmatica variant, Van's Emptiness is actually a terrible card. Because any Dogmatica card, for the most part, you summon Ecclesia and get the Dogmatica punishment, you instantly out Van's Emptiness. Not only do you instantly out Van's Emptiness, you punish your opponent for having this card on board. Get Ecclesia on board, add Dogmatica punishment, set it, activate Dogmatica punishment, pop any other card, Van's Emptiness goes to the graveyard, right? In case anyone doesn't realize, this card says, if any card, destroy this card when a card is sent from the deck or field to your graveyard. You don't even necessarily need to even do this card. What this card does when activated, pretty much locks your opponent out. If your opponent does anything in response to you on the board, they lose this card, and then you just basically get the green light again. It becomes a weird game of red light, green light, 1, 2, 3. Will everyone main Van's Emptiness? I really don't know. In a mid-range format, there's a chance it might happen. I think more so, or more or less, players will side this so when they go first in game 2 and game 3, and that'll be, once again, it'll add more to the strategic type of gameplay. It's kind of like how we probably Featherluster, where not a lot of players are maining it, even though it's a phenomenal card, because if you go second against a lot of meta right now, the card does nothing. So even though Van's Emptiness is that kind of card as well, I might see main deck play. I don't think it's going to. And I think it's a phenomenal card, and I think it's about time this card comes off the ban list. Alright, semi-limited. Nibiru. This card is a phenomenal example of a card that should be semi-limited. Should be power creep. If we're going to force every player to play in a mid-range format, those who still want to play combo should be able to still play combo. What I mean by that is, those who want to play and not get smacked by Nibiru, which would be definitely sided at 2 by everybody in fear of combo decks, and I think ultimately falling out of that side. I think Nibiru, Ultimate Rare, out of OTS Pack 14, $89 market price. The value of the card's roughly around $81. By the way, $81 after that, it's like 90. I do think Nibiru should be one of those cards that we should talk about that that kind of gets powered out of the game, because the card is broken. And if any combo deck, by the way, there's in case anyone is kind of hazy, there's control, there's mid-range, and there's combo. Decks can go in between each, okay? But if you're a deck that's pure, which a lot of decks are in this current meta, you just go full gas. And a great example of a full gas combo deck is Dragonlink. Dragonlink does not want to play you in turn 3. They don't even want to look at you in turn 4. Whereas mid-range decks, they ideally want you to come to turn 3 and turn 4. Control decks, they don't care. As long as you're still playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And there's still life points on the board, control players are very happy. That's all they care about. It's really rare you'll see, by the way, like a control combo deck. I don't think it can exist. In Magic, it kind of does, but in Yu-Gi-Oh! It just doesn't happen. But mid-range is the one that, for the most part, hybrids with like everything. But we just call it mid-range because we're lazy. And combos, like I said, it's a meta right now. In a mid-range format, combo decks being so rare as what they are, I wouldn't be surprised to even see Nibiru even being limited. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think this is a phenomenal card, but the availability of a combo decks in a mid-range format is going to be so rare. Whenever your opponent, you see an opponent who is trying to pop off first turn, you're more or less going to be shocked. You're going to be like, what do you do? What? You still playing? How many cards in hand? 0? You're a madman. And then your mid-range deck will more than likely try to outplay them. And I feel like a lot of combo decks right now have a huge issue against like ALOT, Dogmatica, mid-range variants that are okay with like skipping over not playing as much in the first turn because they're looking to bring you into that third and fourth turn. Anyway, going back to the Nibiru department being, I think seeing this card being slowly phased out as we mentor a mid-range format would still give an opportunity for those who are looking to play more of a combo deck in that format. Alternatively, if you want to see it like this, control decks for the most part have everything. Look at Alta, guys. That deck has everything, but it's not seeing you play. It's sporadically sees play, but doesn't really top as much. It's one of my favorite decks, by the way. Why is that? Well, Alta, guys, is what combo decks I think are going to be in a mid-range format. If we was to enter it, once again, we don't know if we're going to enter it. We have zero idea. We can enter a full control format. That'd be terrible. Even though I love Alta, guys, that would be pretty cancer. I'm just saying, if we was to enter a mid-range format, I think there should be an opportunity for combo players to still exist. They're like us. They're just not like, you know, regular people anymore. Conquistador of the Golden Land is a broken card. Arguably, you could say any one version of the ALOT cards are pretty broken. You could say V, I think we should ban Elixir, or at least limit Elixir, and I would not disagree with you. But Conquistador 3 is pretty unfair. And in a very slower meta, which from what, you know, especially slower from what we're currently playing the game as, I think Conquistador of the Golden Land is a really unfair card. Also, I just want to say something real quickly. I really want to emphasize this point. Mid-range format, the format I think we're going to be entering in, is not going to format I don't think we're going to be ending in. What I mean by that is, Konami wants to slow the game down. So here's the mid-range format. Okay, slow as combo, mid-range, we slow the game down, and then go, here's new product, and then the product takes us and puts us back over here. It's their weird way of trying to swing the pendulum. Hopefully releasing a good control deck in the meantime as well. Conquistador of the Golden Land is a phenomenally broken card in a slower format. The format doesn't have to slow down even that much for ALOT to be good. ALOT is just good as is. It's one of the very few decks out of Secret Slayers that still is good. And looking at Conquistador of the Golden Land, I'm putting it to 2. You can make a great argument to put this card to 1. This card is really that good. Hero players. Let's give them 2 hero lists. Come on, it's fun. I think hero players have had enough of a hype to, if they got hero lives, I think we all agree that they won't do nothing, but hero players will be celebrating in the streets. Ultimate Hero lives at a Generations Force, by the way. With the $38 market price, unlimited version is roughly around $38. And if you want a first version, it's $48. I'll tell you right now, if Hero Lives goes to 2, it's going to do nothing for the meta, but for the market, Hero Lives is going to break records. Just going to throw it out there. Divine Wind of Mist Valley. Once again, in this Banlist, if we was to hit Virtual World, which we should hit, True King of All Calamities, I'm not really hit Virtual World, but True King of All Calamities, Divine Wind of the Mist Valley would be a really good card for Virtual World, which will play a more slower kind of a deck. Virtual World has so many good cards that can play in the extra deck. Virtual World in its main deck is really good. The deck's not going to be going away if we lost True King of All Calamities. It's just not going to happen. Get that out of your head. True King of All Calamities being gone is going to make Virtual World actually play Virtual World. Right now they're playing True King deck, but they're going to actually play what they're meant to be played, and they're going to be good. And I think with Divine Wind of the Mist Valley coming to 2 would help that deck facilitate a lot better combos. Once a return information on when monster control returns to the hand, you can put someone so they can run a lot of goofy. Anyway, I think this card's got a lot of potential. I know what you're saying, V. It's not the Virtual World cards themselves. I get that. I still think this card's really good, and I think it will be used in Virtual World. Call it a hunch. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I still think this card should come up to 2. I'm not backing down. Okay, let's talk about things that could go to. I just read the card. Listen, let's talk about things that should go to 3. Okay, cards that should go to 3. Okay, number 1, Seer. Now, if we could say V, what about a Graph? Graph's currently, I believe it's at 2. Is that 2, right? Yeah, Graph's at 2. Let's put C is at 2. I don't want them going to 3, blah, blah, blah. Graph and Seer going to 3 would make perfect sense. The deck hasn't done almost anything. Yeah, you can say, well, V, there's a variant of the deck that does stuff. Sure, I guess so, but it's not really like the best deck. It's not the top deck. The PK variant. I think Seer going to 3 would make more sense than Graph going to 3, and the reason why is because Graph going to 3 extends. Seer going to 3 floats, and that's a big difference between these. I don't think Konami's going to, and hopefully they do, by the way, put Seer and Graph to 3. I would love to see that happen. I think they would do one at a time to make sure it gets more balanced, because Burning Abyss can easily play you in time. No big deal. That deck does not care about going to time with you. It means nothing to them. And even an engine of Burning Abyss can do just the same as a full deck core, which is absolutely terrifying if your clock is ticking and you're playing against that matchup. ABC Bus Dragon needs to go to 3. Anyone say no? Nay. Okay. Yeah, I think we kind of all agree on that. All right. We got through all that dumb banlist crap. Let's talk about the best card should go to 3. Maxx C should go to 3. Now, let's take it, spin it around, slap it in its ass, and reevaluate the ban list real quickly. With this card going to 3, what can now not hit in the bans? Once again, this is a pretty huge ban list, and this is me speculating on the bans for about, I think it took me like a half an hour to set this entire market watch up. It's really, really ridiculous. Maxx C going to 3 would change the ban list insanely much. Okay, needle fiber, you don't need to hit anymore. They activate needle fiber. First of all, they activate needle fiber. They're probably already under Maxx C. But if they activate needle fiber, you chain Maxx C to that, they're in big trouble. I think Union Carrier still needs to be in the ban list. Guard Dragons, Dragon Link in general. Why put that on the ban list? You can activate Pissy Effect? Okay, I'm gonna drop Maxx C. I probably dropped, once again, I probably dropped Maxx C already, but if you're trying to go like full Dragon Link combo, and I drop Maxx C on you, you better take me out that turn. If not, I'm gonna start my opening hand roughly around 26, 27 cards. And then I'm just gonna light you up. Once again, Forbidden Droplet, Forbidden Droplet, once again, let me look through my, my notebook of a hand and see what cards I'll send to the graveyard to benefit off of as I just blow you off the water. Yeah, this card doesn't need to be in the ban list anymore. Smoke Grenade the Thief, this card does not need to be in the ban list. Let me explain it to you. Why? Once again, I earlier said in this video, Infernobles is a deck based off resources. If your resources aren't there anymore, because they wanted you to have opening hand of like 2 or 3 cards, but if you Maxx C them, they're gonna pass turn. And if they're gonna pass turn, they're more than likely not gonna see that second, third turn because they're a full-fledged combo deck. And it's in this video. Full-fledged combo decks can't breathe past turn 2 and 3 if they don't get a good turn 1. That deck, this card, doesn't need to be in the ban list anymore. Next, Miscellaneousaurus. Sure, let Dinosaur players do whatever they want to do. If you're playing a min-range deck, you're more than likely playing cards like Forbidden Droplet and or other hand traps, which, yes, might not be good the minute they drop Miscellaneousaurus, but it's not going to matter if you play other cards like Lightning Storm and so on and so forth, which is going to break the board anyway. Don't need to be in the ban list. That needs to be in the ban list to help that card. That needs to be in the ban list to help that card. That needs to be in the ban list. Shame on anyone looking at that card. And that needs to be in the ban list. Anaconda, once again, okay, yeah, that needs to be in the ban list. All right. So we actually 86 a bunch of cards from the ban list already. The ban list, by the way, historically speaking, in case anyone forgot, the ban list does not hit a lot of cards. Konami does not necessarily take a lot of cards to throw in the ban list in one shot. It doesn't happen as much. Has it happened in the past? Yes, but not as much. Could happen again. We are due for it, but I don't think it's going to happen to the degree I think players want to happen. Like I said early in this video, you go back to it, we have a lot of cards that are banned. Looking at it, we have Union Carrier, I think True King of Calamity, Zexal, Mystic Mime. I think Meltdown. They might not do Meltdown, but I do think Meltdown would be huge. And Anaconda, which is still a lot, but it's not to the degree which we had early in the video. All because of Maxx C. Think about all the best decks in the game right now. Virtual World has to activate in hand. Chain Maxx C. That's the one deck. Okay? Zodiac, the minute they summon anything, you just drop Maxx C and look at them and go ahead, do your rest of combo, see what happens. They don't. They lose. Okay? Or they have a hard time playing the game. That's number 2. Infernobles, man, just show them Maxx C. They're scooping that game up, more than likely. After they dedicate someone on board, they're more than likely not going to be able to play. I think Maxx C coming out would make Infernobles a dead deck. On the spot. Dragon Link, man, what are they going to do? Oh, you're going to bustle lock me, you cute little adorable baby? All right, cool. Drop Maxx C, you better deck me out if you can, kiddo. Like, that's insane. And where Maxx C used to be played back in the day where everyone ran 40, it's really ready to see 41, players are running 45, 50 card decks. If you have a 50 card deck and your opponent's trying to deck you out, if you Maxx C challenges them, they're gonna lose that challenge, and they're gonna get blown out because it's one card. Wait a minute, V, you might say. Maxx C is such a good card. You just showed me Maxx C and how it annihilated all the top tier meta decks. How is this card available and fair? I'm glad you asked that. So, what stopped Maxx C? Like, what stops this card? Let's think about that. Okay, what can stop Maxx C? The card. Asphalt's Majority of Spring. Call by the Grave. Gamma. And next card coming out, once again, ready for it? Here's a card that you're going to want to listen to. Why did I forget the card? I see a picture in my mind, like it's like Da Vinci in here, and it's finger paint and verbally. Crossout Designator. There it is. Once again, there's Da Vinci. Crossout Designator just craps on Maxx C. So why would you say, once again, Maxx C to be that broken? And how about this? If you're Konami, and you want to sell us on Crossout Designator, for anyone that has the fear of Maxx C, which there's a lot of people that have Maxx C PTSD, for the fear of Maxx C, why not better to bring this card out right now? I don't think it should come out right now. I think it should come out in February, but why not a better way to bring this card out right now in the December ban list? So by the time we hit February, everyone's begging to find a way to stop this card even more so. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to promote a product, why not promote a product, throughout hatred of the previous product or previous cards? I just think it makes a lot of sense. Like, I think it should come out in February. I just want to really emphasize that point. But I think this card is a phenomenal card that a lot of people are just looking past, or those who look at the card go, it'll never come off the balance. It makes broken decks more broken. Yeah. What meta are we in right now? Like, there's nothing considered a fair deck in the meta that's tier 1. That just doesn't exist. Maxx C checks every single tier 1 deck on the spot. And some mid-range decks. That's how good this card is. It's a phenomenal card that a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh players don't want to see come into the meta, more than likely because they don't own the copies of the card, or realistically, realistically speaking, they don't want to go out and grab this card because they know what this card can do. And I feel like everyone that kind of remembers what Maxx C can do before in the past kind of forgot about the fact that all those decks in the past, besides I think Shadow variants, are gone. They're gone. They're no longer here. In this new meta, the new Sheriff in Town, Maxx C, will check everything on the spot. And for you, some of you out there go, wait a minute, V. What happens if you're playing a combo deck and you're holding Maxx C? If you're playing a combo deck and you're holding Maxx C, you're hoping to play against another combo deck. If you're playing a combo deck and you're playing Maxx C and you play against an ALOT variant, not only are you going to get blown out, your Maxx C is doing nothing. Maybe if you're lucky, you'll exchange it for another card in your hand. So that means you're opening, taking a -1 in your hand because you're hoping to play against another combo deck. Let's not even talk about control decks. You play against a control deck and they're playing Maxx C too. Good game. Just scoop it up. Just take your cards, slowly scoop them up, look at your opponent and go, good game, and just walk away because you're not winning that game. So what I'm trying to say is, in a really bad format full of monsters, releasing another monster to check all those is not that bad of an idea. Now, will I think Maxx C will get out of hand? Of course it's going to. I think a lot of these cards have a chance of getting out of hand. In fact, looking at what we have as a ban list is a good amount of list of cards that are getting out of hand. So looking at Maxx C, adding that to check all those, kind of bounces the ban list if you think about it, because out of all these crazy degenerate tier 1 decks, one card shuts that all down. One card makes players reevaluate their entire way of playing the game. And I think that is the healthy way if you want to have a clean slate and a slower meta to introduce Yu-Gi-Oh players into a more aggressive meta by having other cards to get rid of Maxx C. Once again, ask any dinosaur player, you can always hit Miscellaneousaurus, and they're like, yeah, you probably can. Wait, you don't think they can always hit Maxx C? You think they bring it off the bans? It's like in the Godfather where it's like, oh, he's a made guy. It's a Maxx C's a made guy. Konami can't touch him. They can always ban it again. But right now, we need Maxx C. We need Batman, who just comes out of nowhere and beats up regular bad guys. Just regular bad guys. Absolutely beats them. That's what we kind of need right now because the meta really is unbalanced. And once again, I do think more or less. We'll see Maxx C come off the bans, then we'll see a huge ban list full of banned cards. We're already looking at least, 6 cards that should go on the ban list. If you think Konami's going to put 10, 12, 15 cards that's just going to be banned off the gate, it's just not going to happen. It's going to be more likely to see one card come off the ban list to check everything that's unbalanced. Anyway, guys, I really appreciate you guys watching my videos. Please make sure to hit the subscribe button, like button, comment down below if you haven't already. And read the comments. I'm going to read it every day. I didn't read the comment question today because I knew this video was going to go really long. I know some people love my long videos. I know some people hate my long videos. I'll probably do a shorter video coming up in the future, guys. I might be on Twitch streaming. Actually, I'll have another video coming up later on today talking about another Venom I'm going to be holding. Well, I'm going to be holding for everybody, but it's run by my 2 buddies tomorrow. So check that out later on today in this channel. I really appreciate you guys watching my channel. It's your boy V. You guys have a great day.